Alright folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, this is the day. This is it. At least for us. Some of you are already experiencing it, and I'm referring to the bitter cold. Folks north of me and those more northern states, I'm sure you've already experienced it because it's just starting to get here right now. Temperatures dropped quite a bit just since I got up. And I don't know, we're probably hovering below 30, not 30 below, but, probably 27, 28 degrees right now if I had to guess. And there's little bits of snow falling. I don't know if the camera's picking up any. Weatherman is saying that by like 2 o'clock this afternoon, we're probably going to be hovering around 7 or 8 degrees. And then bottom out tonight, maybe at around -5 to -8 degrees, and then lots of wind. You can probably see and hear some of that wind that's starting to come in. So I know everyone's been talking about this cold weather, and you're like, I'm not going to enjoy it, but let's just get it over with. I agree. Just some pointers. Number one, let's just all the obvious stuff. This is really, really cold temperatures. This is the kind of stuff that it's not just uncomfortable, but you can actually die in, I mean, when you're talking the negative temperatures, negative wind chills, and here they're talking negative wind chills here, -30, -35 degrees. And then some of you experiencing actual -20, -30 degree temperatures. That's not playing around weather. So don't take any chances. Just get yourself, squared away, make sure your animals are squared away, all that kind of stuff. Be prepared for potential power outages. We've already been hearing about it. We've talked about it on this channel, probably a dozen or more times of how they've been warning of power grid failures this winter due to just the cold weather and the drain on the system. Well, this is pretty early in the season to be experiencing this bitter cold. And of course it's right before a Christmas holiday, probably lots of people gathering, so we could easily see some power outages around just due to the drain on the system, not even including the possibility of power lines down because of snow and ice and people getting crazy and crashing into them. So be ready for power outages. I was talking to kind of my people yesterday and last night. As far as we can tell, everyone is squared away and ready to go. But they're, kind of everybody says the biggest concern is power outages. And I think we're good to go on that too, because we're just prepared. Here's something else. Look at it as a training op, guys. Whenever there's extreme weather, that's something that I always do. As I look at it as a training op. It's not just that I'm going to hunker down and bear through it and all that kind of stuff. You need to look at it as a training op. Sure, you want to be cautious because we're talking about some very serious temperatures that can hurt you. You could get frostbite, frost snip, and even potentially die from exposure. But it doesn't hurt to use this as a training opportunity. Get your gear out. If you have cold weather gear, well, then get it out and use it. Get out and move around. Do a few things. Don't overdo it, but certainly do a few things and put your gear to the test and put you to the test. If you have a cold weather sleeping bag that you've never really used, but you bought it for those what ifs, I'm not saying you should sleep the night out in it, but get out in it and get in that sleeping bag and just kind of see how you feel in it. And then get out your gear that's not necessarily cold weather gear, but it's your gear to survive. Are you able to start a fire in this kind of temperature? Are you able to use your weapon? Putting all your gear on, putting your clothing on enough to keep you warm. How about your fingers in the trigger? Do they work? Let your firearms sit out and just let it get super cold. And then pick it up and start going with it. And how well does it function? Some are flawless in cold weather. Others, they struggle. Electronics can possibly struggle in these kind of temperatures. How well do they do? I would strongly advise at some point over the next couple of days for you to test things out. You know, give them a go, and see how well your gear and then how well you're prepared. Even if excuse me, if nothing happens, power stays on, you do great, pipes don't freeze, all that kind of stuff, animals do fine. Still assess yourself. What were the things that you had to do leading up to this that you kind of missed or you weren't ready for because it's coming in early this year? What were things after it's all over and that you realized, man, I really should have done this, or I really should have had this, or if I'd prepped and gotten the feed and the water and the animals and the this and then that all done earlier or in a different way, it would have been better. So do a full after action assessment after this cold snap. Look at it as, like I said, a training op. I do this very often if we've had, you know, spring and summer storms where there's a tornado comes through or close to coming through and we have to kind of get ready for that, you know. That's one of the things that I do. I look at it as a training opportunity and you know, then kind of assess myself afterwards. So the thing, whatever you're doing today, going through your day, working, maybe you're at home, maybe you're just, you know, like we are, kind of getting things ready around here, making sure the animals are tucked away, you know, water, all that kind of stuff is good, and that, you know, well, we're not going to have any burst pipes and that kind of stuff. We've got enough firewood ready. Kind of assess yourself and keep that in mind, and maybe, just maybe, push yourself a little bit out in the weather just to kind of see how well you can do and how well your gear performs, because you know, so many people, they get their, whether it's their survival gear, their bug out gear, their, you know, gun running gear, whatever it is, and the only times they really train and practice with it is when it's a nice day, you know, because who wants to go out and, you know, run through some drills with your weapon when it's just really crummy weather? You know, no one wants to do that. You want to go out when it's a nice, beautiful day and everything's fine, and you want to test it out and see how well and how accurate, how well you can move. Well, how well do you move and how accurate you are when you're dealing with 40-mile-an-hour winds and sub-zero temperatures, and you're cold and you're achy and you're a little shaky and you're breathing a little heavier because the wind is and the air is cold? How well do you perform? How well does your weapons perform? How well does your gear perform? So if you're able to, I would recommend spending a little time doing that. Now, I know there's going to be some of you say, it's been this way for weeks, because you live way up there. You know, you folks in Montana, North Dakota, probably South Dakota, northern Minnesota, Canada, Alaska, you know, all those places. But I'm talking about for the rest of everyone, that this cold snap is an unusual cold snap coming in early. Take advantage of it for a few days and try to squeeze in a little training time, because you know, Murphy's Law, that if anything's going to happen, it's probably going to happen in the worst of times. And it's the same way with if you have to defend your home, or you have to bug out, or whatever it is. Odds are it's probably going to happen at just the most inopportune times. And it could be when it's bitterly cold outside. So don't let this pass you up. Get your gear out, get your stuff out, get yourself out. Put a little bit to the test and see how well you and your stuff performs in really cold temperatures. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order. Don't delay. Don't put it off. Don't procrastinate. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.